Hello! Good morning. It is 5:30 in the morning. I'm at the airport and I'm about to take a flight to Washington State, and I'm gonna meet up with my friend Rachel that I've been friends with virtually for about a year now. We're gonna meet in person for the very first time and explore Olympic National Park together. So me and Rachel met on Instagram actually because we're both science communicators. I post about geology obviously, and she posts a lot about ecology and so many other cool things, and she's from the Pacific Northwest, so we're straight across the continent from each other. I'm excited and I'm gonna go catch my flight, so I'll see you on the other side of the country in about 6 hours. We exist. We saw each other and we actually see that each other exists.
I know! In 3D.
That didn't make any sense.
No, but I know what you mean.
But we're here and we're driving to Forks. Forks.
Into the rainforest we go.
Yes, I'm so excited. We're just gonna keep you guys in our conversation for the next 4-hour drive. 7 a.m. and we're about to start our first day of shooting. We're going to Soldew Falls and a couple other little small places that are really green and lush, and it's gonna be really fun. We're at our first location. We're at Solduck Falls, or Solduck Trailhead. I thought maybe it was Soldew, but I'm looking at the sign and it's spelled Solduck, so that's probably the right way to pronounce it. I'm excited because I haven't really been much to the Pacific Northwest. It's very green. Lots of moss. And here's Rachel. And here's Jules, our photographer. Say hello. Getting ready for our shoot. I love this Pacific Northwest forest. It's just like, being from New York, I never see stuff like this. And so like I'm looking around and the trees are so big, so tall. There's moss and lichen everywhere. There's so many mushrooms. I'm literally stopping every like 5 seconds with my camera, just like taking pictures. And the light here is so beautiful. It's like filtering through the trees and through the old man's beard. I call it that. Rachel said that there's a specific name for like the different types. You know, like the really fuzzy, cool moss on the trees, which I think is also lichen sometimes. This is what I mean right here. Like that. It's everywhere, and having the sunlight, because it's the morning, it's like 8 a.m. Seeing the sunlight going through that and like filtering through it. I've been taking pictures of that. One of my favorite things about traveling is you go to a new place and you see plants that you haven't seen before, and you hear animals and hear birds, I mean, and see animals that you don't normally see. And it's even cooler when you're with your friend that knows about all this stuff because she's from the Pacific Northwest. And so Rachel has been pointing out so many cool things that she knows about, that I have like my personal like nature guide with me on this trip. And she can be like, oh, that's this, and this. We just tried huckleberries. I've never tried huckleberries before. She found what it's called. She calls it like the squirrel's messy dinner plate, and I'll have her explain it later. But you can see like the evidence of a squirrel like eating their dinner. But when they eat the pine cone and they're like eating it like a corn on the cob, like how humans eat corn, but it's like cone on the cob, she said. And you see like the remnants of them eating it on the forest floor. I feel really grateful to be here with someone who's so knowledgeable about all of this stuff and appreciates it so deeply. Look at this vine, like look at this. Look at the light. That's just gorgeous. I'm loving this right now. It's just so magical in here, and I'm so excited to see the waterfall. And then later today we're also going to be going to Rialto Beach at low tide, and we're going to try to do some tide pooling and see some sea anemones, maybe a starfish or two, and see the hole in the wall, which I'm super excited about. So I'm at my first rock outcrop of the trip. This, I believe, is a nice outcrop of sandstone. So the rocks here on the Olympic Peninsula are very unique. They're all sedimentary rocks. There's no volcanoes here on the Olympic Peninsula like there are to the east of here near Seattle, where the Cascade Volcanic Arc is. Not only are they sedimentary, but they're really faulted sedimentary rocks. And they started out as these soft sediments, soft muds mostly, and some sands on the bottom of an ocean about 40 million years ago. And when the Juan de Fuca plate started subducting under the North American continent, which is still happening, this subduction is currently still going on, that plate is being pulled under another plate. So an oceanic plate is going towards and being pulled under the continental plate of North America. Think of it kind of like the conveyor belt at the grocery store. If you put all your groceries on the conveyor belt and the cashier starts moving it towards them to start like scanning the groceries, if they were to not scan the groceries in time, all that stuff would pile up and just kind of be like this big pile of chaotic groceries on the end of the conveyor belt. All of those muds and soft sediments, they couldn't be pulled under with the plate itself. There's no room because these two plates are kind of locked together where the subduction is happening. So this soft stuff that's kind of like sitting on top of the Juan de Fuca plate, that was sitting on top of the plate, was then just kind of pulled closer and closer and closer until it had no choice but to just be like deposited and piled up in this big mess of sediment where we now see the Olympic Peninsula. This is over millions and millions of years. So as that's happening, a little bit of stuff is deposited and then it gets buried by even more sediments. So then it's compacted, cemented into rock. And then there's all these different faults throughout the Olympic Peninsula. So they're all just these really messed up rocks that have no rhyme or reason to them. And what we're seeing here is some sandstone. So where we see sandstone, we're seeing a little bit coarser grained rocks where instead of it being muds in the deeper part of that ocean, it's the sands that were probably closer to the coast. So we're almost at the waterfall. About to see Sol Duck Falls. Here's the waterfall. Looks like Rachel found something. What did you find?
I don't know, but it's really cool.
That is really cool.
It's so neat.
You totally could have just made something up and I would have believed you.
I should have.
This is my first time seeing the Pacific Ocean. We just saw a glimpse of... So excited! There it is! Wow.
Crab, it's probably from this creature, but it's broken.
What's it called?
Dungeness crab carapace. The top shell.
Dungeness?
Dungeness crab.
Dungeness.
So if you've eaten crab on the west coast, it was probably from this animal right here. That's where its eye would be.
Oh.
So this is like exactly in half, so it would be like that kind of.
Oh, I
That's
see.
like its face.
So it's like one half of the face.
Yeah. Maybe we'll find a full, complete one.
So we're here on the beach and I saw this really cool process. So here, farther from the water itself, we have these nice big rocks here that are mostly like the size of my hand. Some are a bit bigger. And then we move closer. And then there's this like strip. It changes pretty quickly. You see the phases changing. Then we have these smaller cobbles and some big pebbles. See, I can fit a bunch of them in the palm of my hand. And they feel really nice and smooth. Then we get closer And now I can fit lots more in my hands because they're getting smaller. And it's kind of like a mix of these kind of bigger ones and then these. Then we have this. We have this. My camera woman is just doing her best. So then we have another layer of like they got bigger. So what I think happened here is the last tide that came in, the high tide, I think brought in some more, like kind of pushed this layer up or brought it in. So you can kind of see the layers being connected to the tide and how the water moves the different sized rocks depending on where the water is. And then we keep going closer to the water and they're even smaller. This is really satisfying, by the way. Like, listen to how cool this sounds. This is an ASMR channel now. And then closer, and they're even smaller. Raining pebbles. And then the last step of the process, sand. See, there's sand, but it's also mixed in with some more of the pebbles. But yeah, now we're at the ocean, and it's gonna continue the process of eroding these rocks and eroding these pebbles down smaller and smaller and smaller into sand grains that are now on my fingers. We're at the other end of Rialto Beach right now, and we are about to be at Hole in the Wall. There's this really cool sea stack behind me, right there, and there is a big hole in the rock wall that has formed from erosion over time. So as the ocean waves erode away the rock, it starts out as like this big mass of rock, and then over time the waves and wind pound at that rock and slowly erode pieces of it away, so it'll form arches like the one we're about to see with the hole in the rock, and then eventually sea stacks like that, where instead of like the arch eventually will fall and create isolated stacks of rocks. So you'll see a lot of them not only at other parts of this beach, but a lot of places in the Pacific Northwest. So earlier when I was talking about how the rocks here on the Olympic Peninsula are the remnants of soft sediments on an ocean floor from about 40 million years ago, we are standing on those right now. The rocks I was just talking about with the sea stacks, those are those sediments I was talking about, but compacted and cemented into rock. It's cool because we're looking out at the Pacific Ocean, where farther off, that subduction of that tectonic plate is still happening. It's what brought those sediments from that ancient ocean onto this plate that I'm now standing on. Essentially, I'm standing on these rocks that were once sediments in an older version of the ocean I'm currently looking at. Rachel just found a sea anemone and some barnacles.
There's so many.
Where? Oh my god!
Hello. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Are we rolling? Okay, let me tell you about these sea anemones here. Okay. So, if you look in this tide pool here, there are some sea anemones, and these are when they are open. So you can see their tentacles are out and their mouth is right in the middle. When they're like this, they're ready to catch anything floating by that they might want to eat. But when the tide drops, or if this becomes dried out from water, they close up. So if you look over here, this one is closed up. So those tentacles have curled inwards, and this helps protect their bodies from predators, but it also keeps the moisture in because they dry out when there's no water.
That is so cool.
So they're very well adapted to the intertidal zone.
Thank you so much, host Rachel. That is host Rachel, everybody. Rachel just pointed out these sea stars. They're eating the mussels that are on the rock. And you also see some more sea anemones down there next to it. And then all these mussels and barnacles all over these rocks right here. Look at this sea stack we're next to, or we're like on a sea stack right now, kind of, right? Rachel was just showing me a bunch of intertidal life, and I got to touch a sea anemone, and she showed me how it like moves. I don't know, it was crazy. I didn't expect the feeling. Oh, I'm like holding the mic like an idiot. Like it's probably such bad. Day 2 of shooting. We're about to go to the Hoh rainforest, and then we're gonna go back to Rialto Beach later today for a second time.
Oh, that is an invasive species.
Oh, wonderful.
It's called Himalayan blackberry. It's extremely invasive, but delicious berries. The best way to help manage the spread of this species is to eat the berries.
Let's show
It's
the
not
audience.
actually the best way. I just like to say that because it's fun.
Are they here right now?
Yeah. Yeah, this is Himalayan blackberry. It's very, very thorny and very hard to manage. It just takes over.
Oh, wow.
And even their leaves have thorns on them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Very, very thorny. But they have delicious blackberries. So my favorite way to manage their population is to eat all the berries.
Oh, there's one.
They're a little like,
Oh, wow, look how sharp.
yeah, huge thorns. Huge, huge thorns. And they just grow into like these massive, like messy piles, and it's very difficult to manage them. It looks like they've done work here.
We are at the Hoh rainforest, which I've been wanting to visit for years now, and I'm really excited. We're about to go on the Hall of Mosses trail, which is a loop trail that's it's a little less than a mile. When we entered the park, they did say that the trail was closed because there were elk spotted on the trail, and around this time of year the males can be aggressive, so they closed it. But then we got to the visitor center and I think it's open again, so we just have to be careful if we do encounter any elk to just give them their space and not disturb them. So really excited to see. I think we're going to see some really beautiful moss and trees.
So this is technically a dead tree, but it is still so ecologically important. If you take a look at it, you can see there's all these little holes on it, and these are from woodpeckers that peck the wood to find insects to eat. Different types of lichen and moss. It's so lush, all on a branch that fell from one of these trees.
Hello, here I am at Rialto Beach again today on Monday. Today we went to the Hoh Rainforest, which was beautiful. And now we just drove back to Rialto Beach because we loved it so much yesterday and we want to see it again and take more pictures. So I also found this really cool rock here that has all these holes in it. It's a holy rock and it has these holes because it was or is a conglomerate, and over time the different clasts that were in this conglomerate got eroded away, kind of popped out of there from different types of erosion. You see kind of one of them in here. This one looks like it's been eroded, but it's still kind of in there. This is a mixture, I'm assuming it's a mixture of erosion of the waves and the wind and sand being pelted by the wind into the rock and taking those clasts that might be softer than the matrix around it and pushing them out or breaking them down bit by bit. And then I also read that there's apparently a type of snail that lives here that bores into rock. It's a rock boring snail that apparently makes holes in rocks. I'm not 100% sure if that's what happened here, but I think it's pretty cool that it's a possibility and that this is a potentially result of a really cool snail as well as erosion. So either way, this rock is really cool looking.
There's so many barnacles here! And there's mussels tucked in as well, and snails. It's so cool. I love these barnacles. They're one of my favorites. They're called gooseneck barnacles.
We saw some.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
yesterday.
one of my favorites. Someone thought they looked like geese.
Right, yeah, you're saying that. So here we see a nice outcrop of this group of kind of strata of layers of sedimentary rock. What's going on here is all of the rocks here on the coast of Olympic National Park are this big mess, this assemblage of different types of sedimentary rocks. And usually when you see sedimentary rocks, they're kind of all in nice, organized, neat layers on top of each other, usually horizontal or near horizontal. But here you kind of just see like chunks of random different things. So here I'm seeing like, okay, these look nice and layered, but it's just this little section of it, and then everywhere else is just other stuff. So this is an example of one of the pieces of the assemblage here on the coast, where all of that stuff that was off the coast of that ancient ocean about 40 million years ago, all of that soft sediment on the bottom of the ocean got transferred over from one tectonic plate to another. Eventually they were compacted into this big mess. Instead of them forming on the ocean floor, being compacted and then turned into rock right there. And behind me, it's called split rock. It kind of looks like an egg that has been cracked open. So at one point, this used to be an arch that then collapsed and now is two separate sea stacks. The sunset just turned into this insane pink. Oh my god, this is crazy.
Wow.
We were just filming shots of the hole in the wall here, and then we turn around, like literally 2 seconds before that, the sky was like gray with like maybe a tinge of pink. And then we turn around, Rachel's like, Becky, oh my God, look. And it looks like this. There's like this random like stripe up the center of the sky.